It's Ladies' Day in Austin, Texas, and the champions are back. Last year, USC's Angie Annalis shocked the field and herself with a win in the 200. Oregon's Jessica Hull celebrated all the way to the wire in her 1,500 meters. And the small but mighty Allie Ostrander blew away the field in the steeple. Saturday, UFC 238 from the United Center in Chicago. Cejudo Moraes for the vacant bantamweight title, and Valentina Shevchenko defends her flyweight belt against Jessica Ai in the co-main events on pay-per-view. To order the main card, go to espn.com/ppv. ESPN and ESPN Deportes will have the prelims starting at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Next race on the track, the first of two semifinals in the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase. There are the collegiate and meet records. And Allie Ostrander has the best time in the country and is twice the defending champion. And she is in the next heat as we gaze at Adva Cohen of New Mexico and Israel.
She was third at the conference championships just a few weeks ago. She was fifth in the European championships in 2018, and she's doubling back in the 5,000. She's got great stamina, she's got really good speed, and she's got really good form over these barriers.
Erica Burke, the senior from BYU.
Erica Burke had her son Jack back in 2017 and then came back, and she was second in the distance medley relay for BYU earlier indoor this year. And they say once you have a baby and you come back, you end up running the best of your career.
Adva Cohen was fifth in that European championships. She also is a 1,500 meter runner. She has great range, and oftentimes it's the 1,500 meter runners that maybe don't quite have the leg speed that they feel they need who will move up to the steeplechase. And the fact that she has that 5K background, this makes it a perfect event for her. So 12 athletes in these two semifinals, and because they're not lane races, it's the same formula as the 1,500. The first 5 across the line will automatically qualify to Saturday's final, and then the next 2 fastest on time.
28 barriers in this entire race. The women's barriers are set at 30 inches high. There's 7 water jumps. They will not water jump this first one, and then they will start on the next lap.
You're thinking of the international race where they don't go over the water jump the first time. They also don't go over a barrier as soon as they do in the collegiate race either. So there they are, first time over, and that's probably pretty pleasant considering the heat that they have been in all day long.
And we've had a fall already. One of the hardest things to do in this water jump, and you're navigating coming up into that barrier, you have to speed up onto that water jump barrier as you do when you go to these barriers. Don't move. They're not like the hurdles. If you hit this, it's like hitting a railroad tie. So when you go to that water jump, you want to make sure that you have a little bit more speed to carry yourself up over it and then push off of it.
And the Providence senior continues to lead.
All right, we're going to step aside from this early part of the steeplechase. Semifinal number 1. And if you love field events like we do, it's all field event people up here. Live field events coverage through Saturday on ESPN3. Tomorrow's coverage starting at 3:30 p.m. going to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Feeds for each of the individual jumping and throwing events. Don't miss it. Now, so Lisa Vogelsang of Ole Miss was in the lead there for a moment, but leads changing back and forth. So with 5 laps remaining in this first semifinal, we'll step aside and return for the conclusion of semifinal number 1 of the steeplechase.
Champion now has a slight lead. This is heat number 1 of the women's steeplechase. Anna Steele, the sophomore from Rockford. Indoor All-American at 3,000 meters.
So that's some events and people to look forward to later, and about 2.5 laps remaining in this first semifinal of the steeplechase. That is Hannah Steelman of Wofford. down in Spartanburg, South Carolina, the Terriers.
She had a fantastic Southern Conference championship. She won the steeplechase. She was also second at the 5K.
And she took over just as after we went to break. Adva Cohen also still up there along with Erica Burke. But 6 athletes in contention for those 5 automatic qualifying positions with 2 laps remaining.
There's a handful of this heat and the next heat of these women that are doubling back, running the 3,000 steeplechase and the 5,000. So the strength and stamina of a lot of these women is pretty fierce.
5,000 meters is the last track race in the finals before the 4x400 relay, but that's still a very, very tall order for these collegiates. But it's what makes this event great.
These women have been averaging 85-second laps, and it's been pretty even until now. Now it's starting to string out as Steelman separates herself even more. You just have to make sure you're in this top 5.
I'm personally a fan of this men one day, women the other day format. It's a little bit tough for the doublers in the sprints and those who are talented enough to also maybe add a field event, and it's also tough on the distance doublers as well if you have that talent.
When they went to this a few years ago, there was a lot of speculation of whether or not it was going to work. What I heard from the men and women on the track that were competing, their biggest gripe was, we just miss our men, we just miss our women. We don't get to stay out on the track and cheer for them. However, it has shown in the last couple of years that day of rest in between has been very advantageous.
So still 6 vying for 5 spots. It has been Hannah Steelman just slowly but surely pulling away from the peloton, if you will, and looking very, very easy, technically very, very strong out there. And then a group of 3 with Advi Cohen, Erica Burke, and from Wisconsin, Elisa Nigman. So someone's going to be odd man out in that group of 6, and it looks like they're dropping off now. Nell Crosby is now in the top 5.
Hannah Steelman has been running well all year long. She has a personal best of 9:52.71, and she did that back in April at the Friday night Spikes meet in Florida. So used to this heat. It was warm down there during that meet.
So with 1 barrier remaining, it continues to be Hannah Steelman of Wofford with just this barrier to navigate. She chops a little bit. We didn't see her do much of that, so she is going to get through easily. Elisa Nigeman, Advi Cohen, Erica Burke, Nell Crosby.
Hannah Steelman runs a personal best of 9:49.50, 3 seconds faster.
All right, so Steelman wins it, followed by Nigeman, and we'll get the rest of those people for you when we return to Austin. Back in Austin with the results of that first semifinal heat, the automatic qualifiers, Hannah Steelman, who won it with a season best, Alyssa Nigeman of Wisconsin, then Erica Burke, Advi Cohen, and Nell Crosby. As we get ready for heat number 2, there's the 2-time defending champion, now a junior at Boise State, Allie Ostrander.
She has not lost a steeple final ever. Ever. And get this, she's only been doing this for 2 years. She picked this race up and started doing it in March of 2017.
And became the national champion in so doing. And right outside of her, from New Mexico, the junior from Canada, Charlotte Prowse.
Charlotte Prowse was a bridesmaid in this event last year. She was second at the 2018 national championships, and she's also doubling back. One of the many women doing the 5,000 as well.
So these 12 runners know what happened in semifinal number 1. They know around where the time qualifiers will be. And ultimately, a pace setter will emerge.
Getting a little antsy down there. The officials are very, very tight on making sure that your feet don't touch that line. And Dwight, what's the favorite line?
My favorite line is, the last I checked, the start was not an integral part of success in the steeplechase, which needs to go up on our wall.
Absolutely. Got a little nerves. Reset them twice. Make sure your feet are behind the line.
And they're off cleanly. And again, with an outside water jump in the collegiate steeplechase, they go over a barrier immediately and then take the water jump on the first lap. 12 athletes vying for 5 automatic qualifying positions. I'll show you the competitors. But most importantly, Allie Ostrander, who has been sort of a favorite of the crew here ever since she emerged her freshman year, winning the national title, having only run the race for less than 3 months. Now she is a seasoned veteran and very comfortable with the mantle of twice champion.
Here's another thing about navigating those barriers. Look at how wide these women are across. Imagine if you were racing in a 100-meter hurdle race, having 2 or 3 women in front of you trying to hurdle your hurdles. That is the visual impediment that you have. So you have to not only carry the speed up over these barriers, but you also have to navigate and make sure that the women that are in front of you, you are having a safe distance behind them or to the side, so that you're basically running into the barrier blind. So you want to make sure that you give yourself enough space and enough visual contact to make sure you don't hit that barrier.
Joyce Camelli, the sophomore from Auburn and Kenya, is in the early lead, but it looks a pretty pedestrian pace so far. As you can see, a lot of the athletes moving out into lanes 2 and almost 3 in order to get running room to navigate these barriers.
Allie Ostrander has had 3 straight years that she has qualified. She's currently 3rd in the white, that she has qualified in both the 5K and the steeplechase. I remember her first year when she won the steeplechase back in 2015. I was actually sidelined that year, and I had asked her, you know, what did you say to yourself the night before? And she said, and she was almost in tears, and she said, I was just watching all of these people become national champions, and I thought how amazing it would be to just have that feeling. Well, now she's had it twice, and she is back to three-peat.
So Camelli, and on her shoulder, Ostrander. Charlotte Prowse is also right there from New Mexico.
Did you see how those women carried that speed up over that barrier? If you don't, the second you touch down in that water, it's going to drag you back. So you have to make sure that even though you have your regular pace and cadence and gait in your running, when you go to that water jump, you've got to pick up your speed a tiny bit to touch the top of that and go off.
So coming up on 5 laps remaining, we will step aside, and when we return to Austin, we will bring you the conclusion of this second semifinal of the 3,000-meter steeplechase. The twice defending champion right there up with the leaders. So we're back with the second semifinal of the women's 3,000-meter steeplechase. Just less than 3 laps remaining, and not much really has changed. The Allie Ostrander now taking the lead more in earnest and looking to her left to make sure she has room to move in. She and Joyce Camelli of Auburn have pretty much been sharing the leading duties. And a group of 6 once again is developed, and there's only 5 spots automatically available.
This heat has actually picked up the pace and is a little bit faster. With just 3 laps to go, they're about 3.5 seconds faster than the first heat. So time qualifiers are crucial. 6, as you say, Dwight. 5 qualified. Devin Clark from Arkansas right there on that back. She does have a very, very good kick. She just needs to stay in contact with those leaders all season long. We have seen Clark from Arkansas close with wicked speed.
Because I am a technical person, I've been watching Devin Clark, and she really loses a lot of her momentum on that water jump. She just doesn't attack it and hit that ramp with the kind of momentum. So she loses some of it and has to get back running. And of course, that takes quite a bit out of you each lap that you do that. Allie Ostrander, you can tell she's really pressing the pace. Charlotte Prowse right there in second, but a little gap has developed. And from Colorado, that's Val Constein, who is currently in third.
Camelli of Auburn dropping back off of that final 6. and Clark securing that 5th position so far. Again, these lower barriers that are not the water jump, again, you've got to carry the speed over the hurdle. You don't want to run and jump it. You want to hit it mid-stride. Make sure your center of gravity is down, but make sure you give yourself enough clearance so that you don't hit it. You hit it, you're going down.
For those of you not initiated on the steeplechase water jump, that is a ramp going from the hurdle, right after the hurdle, it's its deepest, and then all the way up to level with the track. So the more distance you cover off that barrier, you get a good push off the top of that barrier, the less water you really deal with. In fact, in the men's race, famously, the Olympic champion in 1968, Amos Biwott, basically catapulted himself, never touched the water.
As you mentioned, it's level with the ground, but when you go back down towards the barrier, it is 12 feet long and almost 4 feet deep at the back end.
So we're coming around to the bell, and Allie Ostrander now has about a 12-meter lead, and then a group of 3, and then back to Devin Clark, who is solidly in 5th, with Joyce Tamelli continuing to lose ground. So right now, if nothing were to change, those are your top 5. But Allie Ostrander, I would say, sending a little bit of a message here about how fit she is and how ready she is to defend.
I'm glad you brought up her fitness. So this right now, she's running 4 seconds faster than the winner of the first heat. However, what you don't know is that she also leads the country in the 10,000. She's not entered here, but she has the fastest time of 32:06 at 10,000. So the range for Allie Ostrander, 10,000, she's running the 5,000 here, and now she's in the steeplechase. She is fit.
So it is Ostrander well out in front now. Gabriel Jennings of Furman is solidly in 2nd. Charlotte Prouse realizing that, hey, I'm in the top 5 and really no problems and worries that I have, so I'm just going to cruise in here over this last water jump and into the finish. And then for Colorado, that's Val Constein and then Devin Clark, who again really has to stop her momentum as she lands with 2 feet in the water jump pit. So just a stroll for Allie Ostrander, the twice defending champion. And she is going to run sub 9:45 in this heat, followed by Gabriel Jennings. And then together we'll cross Charlotte Prouse and Val Constein, and then Devin Clark getting that 5th and final automatic qualifier. Rebecca Toppin really finishing strong, thinking she has a shot at making it on time, and she does. A very, very smart run by the Wichita State Shocker, the junior, running herself on time right into the final. So Ostrander making it look easy and showing you why she has twice won this title, her freshman and sophomore year. And now we will know, here are our official results, and we will have our qualifiers. And for continuing coverage of the 2019 NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships, please switch over and join us on ESPN2. After the break, coming up next on ESPNU, it's Big 12 Conference Basketball, Iowa State versus Texas Tech. But make sure you switch over to ESPN2. So long from Austin.